We heard Ian Duncan Smith, the Work and Pension Secretary, talking earlier about the biggest welfare changes for a generation coming along. Prime Minister speaks today. So the question raised is, what should individuals expect from the state in the future and vice versa? Graham Cook is Associate Director at the think tank IPPR, generally leans to the left. Sheila Lawlor is Director of Politea, generally leans to the right, that think tank, although I know these labels are as confusing as they sometimes are clarifying. But anyway, Graham Cook, first of all, what do you think this means in the long run for the relationship between the individual and the state as far as welfare is concerned?
Well, not very much, to be honest. I think there's a lot more politics than policy about what the Prime Minister has said today. He's looking for some headlines on a benefit crackdown, but he's not really addressing the big reasons why welfare has been rising, and he's not really setting out different priorities about how the money should be spent. So, say on housing benefit, now worth over £20 billion a year. It's been rising partly because of the recession and also because of rents rising. And so all he's trying to do is try and say, well, let's just reduce it from young people. We say, the big problem is that we haven't been building enough homes. Let's try and switch some money from benefits to building homes.
Let me bring in Sheila Lawlor here. Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think it says in the long term about that question of the individual and the state?
I think it's not a huge change in itself, but it is sending out a signal that from now on government is going to look to the individual to put something in order to draw something out. And this isn't a huge demand. In fact, it's a reversal to the Beveridge principles on which the welfare state was founded.
Do you agree with that, Graham Cook, that let's say the young generation growing up today are going to have to imagine a relationship with the state across the board, which is rather different from the one that, let's say, my generation or even you has grown up with?
Well, that's certainly true. We've been facing a long period of fiscal constraint, and that means we've got to ask some hard questions about what things we want to prioritise in the welfare system. But that's not really...
And in a sense, there's no choice about that.
No, that's absolutely right. But, the Prime Minister today rules out looking at pensioner benefits. Well, that's 40% of the whole benefits bill counted out. If he limits child benefit to families with 3 or more children, he'll save £330 million.
Peanuts.
Absolute peanuts. So I totally agree that there are significant parts of the system that should be contributory, that it should be about whether you've paid in or whether you get out. And there's no argument with that, and we need to do more to make the system like that. But if you want to address where's the money going in the system, it's not going to be done by the sort of tweaks and twiddles that the Prime Minister's talking about today.
Do you agree with that, Sheila Lawlor?
No, I don't, not at all, because if we don't move rapidly to a contributory system, we are building up this problem. Remember, this problem has exploded. 5 million people on housing benefit alone, and huge numbers dependent on some or a great deal of benefit. This has happened because we've removed the contributory element. We have said to people, if you are not earning and looking after yourself, you will be looked after. Now, that is light years away from what this welfare state was founded on, and indeed what any welfare state in a modern Western democracy has been founded on. Right. Remember, the principle is you have got to encourage people to put something in, and that is really a very small step to begin with.
Last word, Graham Cook.
Well, I think that's right, but you've also got to address things about where the money's going, which is we should switch from child benefit to childcare would be one thing.
Well, it's the big debate that the Prime Minister's speech will help to fuel today. Graham Cook, Sheila Lawlor, thank you both very much.
Tweet of the day from Visit England. England lose on penalties. For more on our culture and traditions, go to Visit England.
I think that's fantastic. Well, talking about our culture and traditions, it's time to say goodbye. Our editors, Ollie Stoneley and Sarah Nelson, from Evan and me, a very good morning.